So I'm getting tacos, right? And I'm talking to this border patrol. I'm like, watch out, there's cops everywhere. And we start laughing, right? Anyway, got the awesome tacos. Tom got a bag of rice yesterday. The only bag they had of the jasmine rice I like. It was a 20-pound sack. So I took a vow to not drink beer until I've eaten the entire 20-pound sack of rice. So, one tortilla or bread a day in the morning. Meat, beans, rice, spices, till the rice is gone. It was $21.30. So I'm a little over $1.01 per pound of dry rice. I don't know how many pounds of rice that is after it's fluffed up. Anyways, I'm sitting here eating. I found a cool spot in the shade. And look at this little truck right here. Look at this. Can you see that? That's a Nissan pickup from Mexico. That's the coolest part about coming down here. Mexico's got different laws. So you can tag out, you can have a house in Mexico under a completely different name. And then you can buy equipment in Mexico that's legal in Mexico. And then you can drive over here with that equipment. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. So if you want like a modern V8 diesel, like those MAN diesels, yeah. Very high powered. Anyway, I was making this video because I was sitting here thinking, like comic books and stuff like that. It's like I thought of Captain Obvious, and I'm like, I'm always out here looking for Rando. I think I am Rando. So like I need to get a big R on my shirt. Like, hi, I'm Rando. And then my superpower is like advice. Holy Ghost inspired advice. So it's like, hi, I'm Rando. You know, show up at the scene of the wreck and like, you know, help out, or just random like eating tacos, telling jokes, whatever. You know, divinely inspired advice. I'm Rando. I'm Rando, the hands and feet of Jesus, coming to you when least expected. Yeah, I guess this is John Deere place here. I need to get another phone. My other one quit me. My main, this is actually the backup phone. The main phone quit. And it got so old it won't update. It's like a... I think when I was talking to the lady at the store, she's like, I can't believe you still have this phone. I think she said it's 9 years old. Anyway, I think this one here is about 4 or 5 years old, so I'm due to get another one, and then I could show you the. I wish I had pictures. I probably do. I need to look for them. Pictures of Laredo and Farr, the McAllen area. A lot of the areas I go, but especially right here in Laredo, like 5-year-old satellite map, and then a recent satellite map. And then I'd like to have another one, another screenshot of a satellite in about 4 months, because I don't know how long it takes for the satellites to update, but they're still building stuff. And this is cool out here. I'm going to Pinnacle, and yeah, I don't know if they're doing this or not already, but I sent word to the leadership, and I'm like, you buy this land out here in this desert, open a whole industrial park, sell off pieces of it, kind of pick your neighbors, and then build a warehouse out here to offset your taxes. You got your build out, so you're investing in your build out. So like the utilities, just the water and electric on 700 acres. That's going to be all warehouse, right? So you don't need a lot of water, you know, crap ton of electric, and then you can roof everything with solar. And if you build out with solar to begin with, like if you know that's what you're doing, it's all good. I don't know the weight of solar versus the weight of framing up for a regular roof. I do know that China's capacity to build solar is three times the world demand right now. So if a guy was going to do his place supply and installation and build these solar powered orphanages and all kinds of stuff like that, dude, it's ripe. It is ripe now. And they're sweating over their back. They need the work, they need the money. So here's how we take over the earth for Jesus. Because I'm Rando. Rando. Advice you didn't know you need. Okay. I try to keep this real professional since it's a business meeting right now. Eating helps me slow down. Whatever happened to Tootsie Rolls? Anyway, that was for comedy, for the record. Okay, so right now is the time to figure out how to add an additional structure to the side of the building. Okay, so you do 4 corners, and then the way they do those blue awnings over stuff, it comes up and, you know, a pinnacle in the middle, and then it drops down 4-sided, 2 sides, or 1 slope, appropriate for the way the sun, your latitude, longitude, where you're at in conjunction to the angle of the dangle of the sun. Make that your slope. And then you want, you know, it's going to come up over here, go down over there. So if your slope is right here, where it catches it going by, that's your angle. Some type of framing that's on one side and the other, like an exoskeleton for the building, and then put the solar on a framework that's just to hold up the solar. That's it. And make room enough on the actual roof for a man to stand. And then do your solar array above your building. So you retrofit. Like say you have a giant warehouse in St. Louis. And you put this frame down one side, down the other, and then the angle of it right, you know, it'll be a little bit steeper. Okay, so that's retrofit solar, and you cover the whole roof with that. Now, if you got to replace your roof, you don't have to touch your solar. If the solar catches fire, it's not touching your roof. It ain't going to burn your building down. Well, you want to pay attention to get the highest grade of cordage and connectors. That's where they fail. The panels very rarely fail, but daisy chained together. Here's next. Some shitty little connector peters out, catches fire. That's why solar fires happen. Okay, so solar system incidents would drop by 98%. I don't know that number, I'm just saying. It would significantly, almost completely stop the fires that happen, okay? And then if the section coming down goes to a cordage to where it's directly like charging an electric forklift, an electric yard truck for moving trailers, whatever. Okay, so now the building's put the power on site, which is critical. The transference of power over mileage is where the solar really takes a shit. I mean, it's just, it makes it stupid. Okay, so the efficiency is, I'm getting the power off of this building. You see this building right here? Okay, you see that power coming up off that? I don't know why I did it that way. Here's this one. You see that power coming off that building right there? Okay, instead of that going over that pole, that wire just goes up on the roof. It's made right there, it stays right there. And then I'm obviously parked here, so I just plug the truck into the wall. You know, make it make sense. You know, elementary school. Elementary, my dear Watson. Anyway, keep it simple. Keep it simple. You know what I mean? I don't, all those, you know, all the infrastructure, the power plant to here is dull, right? And then I'm hooked up to regular power because my building's already there. So you can build a new building with these concepts in mind, or you can retrofit your building, and then you can do your building and your retrofit separate, and there might still be some incentives from the government to buy this stuff. You might get incentives from the Chinese government to buy a large swath of panels. So like if Donald Trump is like, you know, our nation wants to retrofit our manufacturing places and set it up like off grid, right? So like it's not connected to the internet, it's not connected to your building. So like, you know, your security's still in place, right? So this thing, you put it up there, you know, you buy the panels, you know what I mean? You go as a large investor and you say, hey, I want to buy, you know, 100 square miles of solar panels from you, right? Like we want 2 shipping container ships with 800 or 8,000. You send the boat with 8,000 containers full of solar panels to the port, and then we'll divvy it up from there, right? His place, supply, and installation. That's what we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now, we do some type of crash course, 8-week. You're a roofer, and you're a HVAC technician, and all that type of stuff. So like this, there's a lot of people that's already done this on a small scale, but nobody has quarterbacked this situation to be like the National Panel Society and all that under the heading of his place, supply, and installation. So get the experts, set up a, you know, standard operating procedure, and set up inspectors that inspect, you know, for the connectors. Somebody comes along and looks, not an inspector that drives by, just looks at it and then bullshit. A guy that actually gets up there and checks every electric connection, every single electric connection is checked and vetted, and it's got when you buy the parts, they're stamped, you know, quality control to the utmost. And then for your strip malls and stuff that are coming up, that they're building and stuff, you know, put the gas station on the corner, business, you know, nail and salon, do your taxes, you know, office for the HVAC guy, whatever. And then on the end, you got your logistics office. Now it's a low roof on this side. All the cars come in from this side, and as it goes up, the back side of this thing is a warehouse, and all the trucks come in from the back. And then there's small access for supply for the store, you know, because they got to get their cold goods and everything else like that. Everything cold on this end, everything not cold for the rest of it, so you don't have to air condition the whole thing. And then roof up high enough, like this wall over here is high enough, so the truck backs in, there's warehouse space in the back where the roof is tall, and in the front there's retail space. trucks come in from the back on this side, cars come in from the front on this side. So you don't have cars and trucks in the same parking lot or coming in the same entrance. And if you lay that out, like say you bought a city block and just leveled it, or say you bought some level desert that's already there in, like, you know, somewhere, you know, whatever, you know, you pick your real estate. I don't know. I would do this someplace where there has been white flight, and now there's a bunch of people in the woods, you know, and then like say there's, you know, people in the woods, but there's no mercantile close. Like look at Pegs, Oklahoma, and look at the business structures there. You can do every business there in one of these setups like I'm talking about, and then you can warehouse right there, and, you know, farm supply out in the field behind there for the open air stuff. But inside the warehouse, you can have everything necessary for your Dollar General and your mercantile, and, you know, down on the ends of car wash, whatever. Okay, but this whole thing under this structure that just has this angle of the dangle, we're going to call it that. Angle of the dangle solar. Angle appropriate to your longitude. So you get maximum sun. Okay, and then set this thing up where the sun rises on that side of the house, and then it sits over there. So at noon, you're getting maximum, you know what I mean? And these solar stuff be fixed, okay? And then EPDM rubber, okay? Have it roll up just like an awning, super thin rubber like a bicycle tube, and then some type of awning like you see on the side of an RV, okay? The tornado whatever thing, sirens go off. Okay, just have cables up there, little 1/4-inch cables, you know, all across your panels, about 8 inches above the panel. Siren blows, unroll the rubber, and all the hail just bounces right off of it. Now you have no hail, unless it's super bad, hitting your panels. And then now it's got to go through your rubber, got to go through your panels, and then go through your roof before your roof leaks. So the panels are also adding shade to your roof. So that's cutting down on your degradation of your roof, man. So like you're not going to have to roof this building near as much if the rain's not getting to it, unless it's blowing sideways. You know what I mean? You take your average rainfall and your average snow and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, the angle of the dangle is appropriate because by the time you get into the snow zones, it's steep. So the snow and stuff just slides right off of it because snow don't stick to glass very good. And then, you know, maybe you're not getting much power out of this thing, so you just roll the stupid rubber down over it or whatever like that and just let that, you know, be your cover for the winter. And yes, that's cool. And they're if we did a rubber bladder, now if there's a fire, the fire will burn into the rubber. When the rubber ruptures, water will come out. So now it really is like bicycle tubes, layer on layer, going down through there. You know what I mean? Like you got a bicycle inner tube with a 1/4-inch cable in it. And there's 2 of them. And they're side by side. And then there's water in that. Now you got hot water coming into the building. And, you know, staged across there, you know, how much do you need hot water? How much do you need electric? And then also a concept for the, you know, repel the hail. You know what I mean? Like even if you just had, it don't take that much. Hail is pretty tough, don't get me wrong. It's a freaking ice ball beating down. But that's, you know, that's not that bad. When you consider, you know, rubber and, you know, steel reinforced. It ain't going to do that to the tires on this truck, right? So I'm sure there's like 1 million plastic options. And anyways, so that's it. There you go. That's a little more insight into his place, supply and installations. His, because God gives me all the information. So he gives to me freely, so I give to you freely. My wife said, charge something so 1% of the growth as we take over the earth for Jesus that would be great. That's the fee. That's just a deal between me and whoever uses this. If you choose to not participate, great. If you choose to participate, it's super duper awesome. And in between now and then, I'll charge it to the game and just go drive this truck. I'm Rando here at Chicken Little News. Random advice. Divinely inspired. Or I'm crazy. One of the two. You know what I mean? Be crazy like a fox. Go get her done, son.